is exempted from paying motor vehicle importation taxes? Last week, we did a video about some of the heavily taxed vehicles in the Kenyan market space today. And if you have not watched that video, the link to the video is in the description. Today, because AutoConnect is the only car channel that will guarantee you an alluring motor vehicle experience, we are doing a follow-up video to that video on who is exempted from paying motor vehicle importation taxes. Are you exempted? I'll be your host, Eric Wakabi, Eric with a CK. And remember, you can follow me at a personal level on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok as well. And today, I'm joined again by Tom from Grande Motor Imports. Tom is an expert when it comes to importation of motor vehicles and also taxes concerning motor vehicles. So let's get up close and candid with these people who are exempted from paying taxes. Bwana Tom,
Yes,
karibu sana tena.
thank you.
Today I want us to discuss about the people who are excluded from paying motor vehicle import taxes. Last week, so many people asked about tax exemptions.
Yeah.
And I would like us to start by explaining which taxes are exempted. Before we start discussing on who are exempted from paying these taxes, let's start by discussing which taxes are scrapped off and which one remain when it comes to motor vehicle tax exemption.
There are several categories of taxes. Not everything is exempted. If you have been exempted from taxes, you will be exempted from duty, import duty, from the excess duty, the VAT, and some categories you'll find that you're exempted from the IDF.
Okay.
Yeah,
IDF in full is
the import declaration fee.
okay.
Yeah,
That at least it's good to note.
yeah.
Now, with those, let us talk about now who are these people who are exempted from paying taxes, and which, in as much as they are exempted, where are the limits? Yes.
We have three categories of people that are exempted from taxes. The first one is the people who are living with disability. We have the returning residents, and we have the diplomats or the first arrivals. We call them the first arrival. They get a first arrival privilege of not paying taxes.
Okay, Mr. Tom. Let's talk about let's focus first on people living with disabilities.
Yes.
And I have three questions for you on this tax exemption. And question number one is, if you're a person living with a disability, one, how do you qualify and what is the process for you to be identified or classified as a person living with a disability? Number two is, can people with disability or people who are tax exempted as a whole import commercial vehicles? And the third question would be, up to how many vehicles can a person living with a disability and is tax exempted own or import?
Yeah, to answer your first question, for you to be exempted under the category of people living with disability, you must have the card that is given by the National Council of People Living with Disability. That is the first requirement. And there is a process that you go through for you to get that card. You have to be assessed. You have to have the assessment forms. They are filled. And then you go to a board for an interview. Then you'll be given the card. So that is the first prerequisite of having or being exempted from duty. There are several requirements. Starting with that card, you do a letter to the commissioner of customs. And then you have to have all the documents of the car under your name. You have to also have a bank statement showing that you are the person that bought that car or paid for the car in Japan, because people sometimes may take advantage. You get someone who is disabled, and you use their card to import your car. Unawapea kitu kidogo, unalipa gari Japan, ikifika inakliariwa ni kama yao. So to avoid that, the person who is enjoying the privilege has to be the person paying the car in Japan.
Okay.
Yeah. On your second question, you asked whether they can import commercial vehicles. No, you can't. You cannot import any commercial vehicle. You are limited to personal cars. Yeah, you can't import.
Oh.
On the third question, you're only allowed to own one car. You're exempted on only one car. So for you to get a second or a third exemption, you have to 4 years have to elapse, and you have to sell that first car, pay duty on it, and then you'll be exempted on your next car.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is also another question when it comes to persons living with disability. There are some categories of persons living with disabilities that must undergo the vetting, and some of them must even go for a test drive.
Yes.
Tell us more about that, Bonato.
We have the physical disabilities. Unapata mkono, mguu, the physical ones. Those ones you have to modify your car. The car must be modified for you to be able to drive it. For people like those who have sight issues, hearing issues, you nominate a driver. But for the physical ones, the car has to be modified for you to drive. You cannot appoint a driver if your disability is physical. So the car will be modified, and you have to go and do a test drive for the officials there to ensure that you are able to drive that car on your own.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the one last question on people living with disabilities who are the final question or questions about people living with disabilities. One, which taxes are they exempted from? And secondly, can they get asset financing? Can you charge a vehicle that has been exempted from taxes?
On your first question, people living with disability are exempted from around 4 taxes. They are exempted from the import duty, from the excess duty, from the VAT, and also the IDF, the import declaration form fee. So those are the categories that they are exempted from. On your second question, on the financing, it's a gray area. We've not gotten financial institutions that have outrightly come to do the financing, because remember, the car comes in the name of the person who enjoys the exemption. So it's so hard for you to be financed for a car that you've already bought. It's already your car. So what will happen if you want maybe to get that money and use it for something else? You will only charge the logbook. It's like getting a logbook loan.
Oh, okay.
Because the car is already yours.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's something that we've been talking with so many financial institutions to find a way of financing the people living with disability or people who are exempted from taxes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bonatom, let's get to now the second category of people, and these are returning residents.
Yes.
And on returning residents, I would like you to take us through on who classifies to be a returning resident. If they came from a country whose cars are left and drive, what do they do? And can you be exempted, or can you import your car that is over 8 years old if you're a returning resident?
People who are returning are people maybe who have been working abroad or living abroad, and they are returning to the country. So you find that they'll be exempted from so many taxes, not just for cars, even for their personal belongings. But because we are talking about cars, I'll give the requirements that you need to meet for you to be exempted as a returning resident. First of all, we have the cars that qualify. Of course, the car must meet the the set standards by KEBS. It has to be not older than 8 years. The car must be a right-hand drive. You cannot come with a left-hand drive into the country. You cannot import it. So the car has to meet those requirements first. If you are coming from a country that is left-hand drive, you have to sell that car. Then you import a right-hand drive car, which will follow the requirements that the normal cars follow when we are importing from maybe Japan, Singapore, and what have you.
Okay. After you come back as a returning resident, up to what duration of time are you allowed to repatriate your vehicle back to the country?
You are given 90 days from the time you get into the country, from the time that you are stamped in. You have 90 days, but you can talk with the commissioner if you have something that made you not import that car between the first day and the 90th day. You can have an extension of up to 360 days
Okay,
upon the approval of the commissioner.
that is that. And so picture this, Tom. I'm coming from a country that the cars there are left hand drive,
Yeah.
and assuming when I was there, I was driving, say, a Honda Fit, or let's just take the example of a car like a Toyota Camry. But because of the exemption, I choose to get myself a Prado
Okay.
from maybe Japan. Will KRA know?
Yes, they will, because if you are coming from a left-hand drive country, you have to sell the car, and they will need evidence that you owned a car there and you sold it off. And one of the requirements is that the car that you sold, that you are importing, should not have a higher CRSP than the car that you had in that foreign land. So you cannot come from the Camry to the Prado. They have to be in the same category in terms of the CRSP.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the third category of people who are the diplomats before we can maybe give an overview of the tax exemption. So, the diplomats, what taxes are they exempted from, and how does somebody really qualify to be a diplomat? Do you have to be? Is there a difference between a diplomat and a foreigner working for an organization in the country?
Actually, those people are given what we call diplomatic or first arrival privilege. It's not a must you are a diplomat. If you are coming into the country and you have a work permit of more than 2 years, you will qualify to get the exemption. So long as you are a foreigner coming to the country to work and you have a contract that is more than 2 years, you qualify for the exemption.
Okay.
Yeah.
And which taxes are they exempted from?
They are exempted from import duty, the excise duty, the IDF, and also the VAT.
Okay.
Those four, yeah, they're exempted from those four.
Yes. And now, Tom, when you get a client who is tax exempted, and they request you to import a car for them, what documents do you ask for upfront?
Yeah, for each category, kuna documents za each category. So if you are a person living with disability, you have to produce the card, the card that is given by the organization. You have to give me the assessment, the medical assessments. I go through them to know whether you are under the physical or the other category, to know whether your car will need modification upon arrival to prepare us before the car gets here. For the diplomats, you have to give me the work permit that you've been given, and you have to prove that since you arrived, the 90 days have not elapsed. Because if they've elapsed, it means that you have to do a letter to the commissioner for an extension. Also, for the people who are returning from abroad, they have to give me, if they are coming from a country that is left-hand drive, they have to give me the documents of the previous car. They prove that they sold it. We'll be able to know which car was they were using, and will advise on what car they can import.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Bwana Tom. So there you have it. That is how motor vehicle importation tax exemption works. And we have been privileged to have Tom from Grande Motor Imports. Remember, by the way, we offer services such as pre-purchase inspection, usinunue gari kama mbuzi. We also offer services such as motor vehicle sourcing, consultation, and now direct importation, courtesy of Grande Motor Import. So if you need to speak to Tom, his number is in the description below. And also remember, you can reach us through our official number 0710 844 863. Utaongea pale na Winfred Wangari and she'll guide you through your inquiry or the service that you may want from us. A disclaimer though, whenever you're booking a pre-purchase inspection, we always recommend that you give us a 24-hour period, 12 to 24. Ukibook leo, tafadhali, kama unataka pre-purchase kesho, book a day in advance, and this is to enhance our efficiency towards serving you. Sawa sawa. I'm glad to have been with Tom through this episode, and I hope that it has been an insightful one to you guys. So share in the comments, what else would you like to know about tax exemptions? And also, we value your feedback. What other content do you want us to bring you with regard to motor vehicle taxes? I've been your host, Eric Okabi, Eric with a CK. Remember, you can follow me at a personal level on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok as well. See you next week.